Okay, right. Let's start now. Okay, before we start, I would like to say magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. This is Felcor Ellen. Live tayo ngayon. Ito lang ang channel na walang kinikilingan, pawang katotohanan lamang ang pag-usap-usapan natin dito. Okay, live tayo ngayon. Let's have this short interview with a political analyst about here in the Philippines. Okay, let's start now. Okay. Here you go.
Political, economic, elemental researchers and strategists rather, are peers. Professor, good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us today and welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Casey. Thanks for having me again.
All right, so the Vice President's tirades against the Marcos administration, and all of a sudden lawmakers having the courage to speak out about issues pertaining to not just to the Vice President, but also the former President. First of all, the Vice President's comments about this administration, what do you make of it, Professor?
To be honest, I'm quite surprised. No, I wasn't expecting that. She would make this kind of criticisms, because I don't remember any instance that the Vice President did anything close to it. No, even when she was a mayor. No, I don't remember any time at all that she came up with this kinds of criticism, if at all. No, there's always a caveat, or there's always an explanation as to why she had to do what she did. No, I remember still quite vividly. No, when she went to confront a sheriff in Davao. No? And I supported that move, because it was some kind of exasperation that led her to that. There was a prior consultation and everything. Now, this time around, the criticism somehow is I don't know, purely political to my mind. I mean, the reduction of security personnel has been explained to be not limited to her own self. There were other officials in government whose security detail were reduced. As to the criticism on disaster risk reduction, that would not be something that resonates, no? Especially with the criticism of her still proceeding with her the family trip in Germany at the height of of a typhoon.
Well, Professor, to your point, there are criticisms, right, and there are critiques, but there are also principled criticisms, meaning there is no disconnect between a current issue that one may be advocating at this point and maybe the advocacy in the past, that there has to be some sort of a connection. But do you get the feeling here, Professor, that the Vice President is just, getting issues from thin air and pushing it out to the public to criticize this administration, which she still is a part of, Professor?
Exactly. That's what I've been trying to point out now, and in other words, to my mind, that's why I emphasize at the outset that this is something that I didn't expect. This is, to my mind, so not the kind of Sara Duterte that I knew before. No, so in other words, well, of course, she's a public official, and for certain, of course, it's not only me, but so many, of course, expect her to vie for presidency sometime soon. No, and therefore, every pronouncement, no, every word that comes out of her mouth will definitely be considered. No. In her preparation for coming elections that she will take part in. And this kind of criticism simply doesn't, make her case, no, more palatable, no, or should we say agreeable to many, not necessarily only to the government, but more so with so many observers in the public in general.
Especially the issues that she chose. For example, when she mentioned that foreigners should not meddle in the nation's affairs, and yet we know at this point that Congress is zeroing in on EO13 and also the way the Duterte administration sort of opened and made the country vulnerable to their minds to China. So whatever she has been pointing out, it points back to her, or maybe even her father. So was it wise for her to choose these issues? Go ahead.
Exactly. Well, that's what I've been trying to point out. It's simply backfiring, and that's why I mentioned that everyone's expecting her to run for the presidency later on, and therefore there should be every effort to maintain the public support that she enjoys. In the series of pronouncements made recently, like the very bold pronouncement that all of her brothers, including her father, will be running for the Senate. It's rather unprecedented. Of course, there are other family names who are running simultaneously. First time in the history, by the way, and it's kind of saddening for me because before political dynasties make an effort to get themselves elected every after another. Now this time simultaneously, there's a plan, or at the very least a ton, that they are planning to do it. And then suddenly there's this criticism as well. And as you've pointed out, how can you criticize a government that is seemingly siding with or being was this bias in favor of a foreign power when during the time of your father there was also some at the very least observation of the same, albeit of course with another foreign power, but just the same. Of course, it's the same banana, so to speak.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's no longer the Sara before that. When she speaks, she focuses on an issue and offers an alternative. At the very least, offers a solution instead of just plain and simple criticism.
Yes, she's not the Sara before, because when she was in this Department of Education, even the political groups, the Senate and the Congress, criticizing her, and nobody helped her. Even the president has no single say. Now that she has this, she gave up her Department of Education secretary, then she will do her best now as OBP. Yun talaga ang dapat ninyong isipin, na dapat hindi ninyo ginagawa ng sinungalingan, kalukuhan si VP Sara, kasi iba talaga siya pag magalit. Okay.
And then of course we cannot not mention that part of her statement when she mentioned about the police to population ratio, the divide, the gap there. And then, in the same breath, that she's whining about how her security detail has been whittled down to just 400.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Actually, yung issue of ratio is just, to my mind, more of an aside, more of an excuse. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about the reduction of the security detail, and which is of course something to whine about if this is only applicable to one single person, which one single official, which is herself. But unfortunately, it seems if the PNP statement is to be believed, not only the office of the vice president office, which was where security detail was decreased. It's also true with the other officials in government.
No, so then we've established in the first part of this interview, Professor, that the statement seems to be lacking foundation. This is not, as you mentioned a while ago, the Sara that you knew. She seems to be just getting issues out of thin air. You say that it's also political. But let's talk about the timing and why. The overarching question here is, why is she doing this and why now? And is it the wise thing to do at this point, given that in recent surveys she has, her numbers are up there, Professor?
To be honest, Casey, I have no idea. And I will be quite frank with you. I'm sure, of course, with the several interviews that we've had, I'm sure even the viewers know that I've been quite supportive of the Duterte administration. I was even appointed before as a member of the consultative committee to review the Constitution, and drafted the federal Constitution. And so we're just being really quite... we're just being constructive, in our observations, and frankly, medyo nakaka-disappoint kasi if I'm the one handling or advising the vice president in this regard, I will remind her of what happened with the Nograles before, when not the Nograles, the Senator Villar and the former Vice President Binay, when they were at the very much earlier, whether or not they actually declared or not, they were already immediately identified as a presidential contender, and that every move should be very calculated. And in fact, it should be noted that the reason why she's very popular now is precisely because of the track record that she has, not just being a Duterte, but the track record that she has that's independent and distinct from the father. Pero ito, parang biglang lumiko eh.
But on the other hand, Professor, one can argue that this is her. That she is now not being deliberate, not being measured. She's being authentic. She says what she wants to say.
Yeah.
One can see it from that perspective as well.
Well, you could say that, but what I'm saying simply is that from the perspective of a strategist, I would rather that I maintain, what has been before, and what I became known for, and precisely the very reason why I enjoy the numbers. I mean, regardless anymore whether this is really the true character of the person or otherwise. As you know, of course, in politics, it's always something about packaging. It's always about pronouncements. It's always about perception ultimately. And so if you are to maintain that perception, you have to maintain that kind of persona. So I don't know. I'm out of words and reason why suddenly there would be this kind of pronouncements. Kumbaga parang hindi na pinag-isipan. It's off the cuff reaction, which is not going to be reflective of a good standard.
Yes. It seems that she is not thinking very well how and why. Because if you could look at her, she is not interested for presidency. She don't care about that. So if you are going to analyze her movement, she is not interested in going for higher office in politics. I guess that. But since before Bongbong, she don't like to run. Maybe until now she do not like to be a president of the Philippines. That's how I analyze her movement now. That's why every mistakes of the government, she is there to criticize. She carry the position. She carries the opposition position right now, because if we are going to look at the Philippine politics now, there's no opposition. It's all in the administration, and that is not good. Why? If there's no one to criticize the government, they are going to do whatever they like to do, just like what they're doing now. If when even though if there are some people who criticize their administration, but they are still doing the corruption, a rapid corruption, smuggling, drugs, what else? Gambling. Now, this is not a very good. This is not a good determinants that the government is doing good if we have a rapid increase of drug drugs. There is a rapid increase of corruption. Even harap-harapan na may mga corruption diyan sa Senado at sa Kongreso. At I don't think so that there is no walang basbas yan sa Pangulo. I think there is. That's why we need an opposition, and she is really acting opposition leader now, because whatever the weakness or whatever the mistakes of the government or whatever action that they overuse their power, she is there to criticize. She is vocal now. Now, she is very quiet before, but now that she cannot take the situation, she cannot take the situation of the governance. We are very happy the Filipino simple poor Filipinos that she is there to speak out, because she has we know that she is very popular in the Philippines, and she knows what to do, and she knows what is the strategy that she's going to use. Okay, keep going, sir. Continue po.
No, or we could not resort to a good standing later on.
All right. So you have the messenger, you have the message. Who's the intended recipient here, Professor?
Well, the recipient can only be the public. I mean, there's a saying, no? And I'm sure you're very much familiar with it. The medium is the message. So, if to my mind, if my intention really is to write a particular policy, I would maintain, a more professional tact and write a letter without making it public, and state my criticisms 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, why I disagree with a particular policy, or a particular action on the part of the government, and recommend alternatives. But when you immediately go to the media without even giving much thought as to what alternatives you're going to offer, then to my mind that's just a pure and simple politicking.
Would it be wise for her to continue on with her attacks against the Marcos administration this early in the game? And would you even call it, attacks, or just...
For me, for my own point of view, it's not an attack. It is just criticizing the government. It's not attacks. Bibi Sara is not. It's not fun of doing attack. Now, but when she is not satisfied with what you're doing, that's all the Turkish brand. They will criticize freely. Okay. So I think that's not an attack for me. But I don't know. Professor, go ahead, please.
It's really just saying things. Because, again, we go back to what we said a while ago. There's principled criticism, and then there's this.
When she resigned as the DepEd secretary, that's, simply saying the all gloves are off, no? And of course, criticism is therefore already expected coming from her. But my unsolicited advice is that criticism should also come with alternatives or solutions that may be considered by the government. I mean, if you're criticizing, there must be a solution that you are willing to offer.
Wow. Now, she is only a vice president. Now, do you think the government, especially the wife Lisa Marcos, will listen to her solution, the proposed solution? She is there to criticize, but she will not give a solution, because even then, she said that before that she tried to fix the problem when she was still in the defense secretary, but nobody helped her. Nobody. She is alone. Okay? So that's why this is the thing now. And do you think, Professor, do you think that if BP Sara will criticize the government and she will give a possible solution, do you think that this administration will listen and follow her the solution decision? Do you think? For me, no, sorry, they will not care. According to the first lady, she is bad shot to me, and she is not good. And if you are going to think it over, it seems not that the government was led by another person. It's not really the president. I don't know if you can come out your analysis for that. Okay, keep going, Professor.
Yeah, to my mind, she offered an and in maximizing the ratio that they've been debating about, and suggesting more equipment and so on and so forth. That's right, but it still belabors, no? That it begs the question of the number of security personnel that is assigned to whoever, not only to her as vice president, but
No,
to
she don't care about that security, that number of securities that she have, Professor. She never speak for that. And then when in fact the PNP chief said that he had requested for the BP that the securities will be taken back to them because they need him in the ground, but she never say anything. But if you could see it there during the time that she keeps the PNP chief keeps on having an interview, and she keeps on telling that like the negative for about BP Sara, that she requested to pull out some of her securities, but in fact it's not. It's a lie to us that she didn't requested that. So that is really a disgusting action that BP Sara must she understand that one. And the second one is that the PNP chief said that if she is going to request, they will return it back and those things. The only thing that BP Sara said for that is that she do not need the security anymore. Okay, so it's not a big issue. It's not a big deal to her. Okay, so she knows what to do. She is a very clever and smart woman, and she is not influenced with any drugs and alcohol. She is a really smart woman. Okay, so I think Professor, you must have to clarify for that.
the other offices and how much it impacts on the availability of police personnel in the communities. No, so as far as foreign relations is concerned, I don't remember any specific recommendation made, not by her, not by any official for that matter, criticizing the government, simply saying that war is imminent, as if everyone is being frightened, no, by the likelihood of shooting war in the West Philippine Sea, but no one has suggested alternative measures moving forward. Is there someone suggesting a closer
what alternative that she is going to request? That when in fact the president has been decided that when They told the government, they told the people before that we will not engage on that West Philippine Sea problem. We will not. We will keep our country safe. But what did he do now? He accepted those Americans to come into the Philippines and make those IDCA and those whatever they do in our fucking land. Now, what do you expect BP Sara will tell her to that? And what do you expect them to listen to her? Okay? So, you know what this government, you know what this administration, they don't like someone will get involved into their action. Okay? So, even before, if you are going to analyze Professor Edmond Tayong, that even the start of Bibi Sara's sitting down her position, this administration is starting. I do not know. We do not know if President Marcos knows about this, about their actions in the Malacanang. But we Filipinos knows that they are doing something behind the Vice President. Okay.
Coordination with our Southeast Asian nations, like probably a maritime law enforcement partnership with countries like Vietnam and Indonesia and so on. And no one. Alam mo, sa totoo lang, masyadong empty na.
No one. Nobody cares about that because the president is talking something and doing different. If you are going to analyze his movement, who will like that? Okay? He talks to the public that we were doing this direction, we were doing this, but behind, the president is doing his own decision. Remember, before he went to America, that he said that we will keep this West Philippine Sea, but we will just be friend to everyone. But what happened when he came back from United States? Nag-iba ang tono niya. His movement and his speaking is different. What do you think? Do you think they will listen to Sara Duterte? Okay, so please answer my question if you can.
Ng politika natin, no? So kung gusto natin consider a new phase, consider an alternative, then that alternative should not only be a particular person, but a particular policy direction that one has to offer.
And just very quickly now, they're telling me to wrap up, but just very quickly here, if the attacks is on the Marcos administration, against the Marcos administration, but the intended recipient is the public, how should the Marcos administration take this? Should they consider all these statements irrelevant?
I think the president and the administration has taken the right tact. I mean, if it's a plain and simple criticism, I don't see any reason why one should react or give a statement. At the end of the day, if one is certain of what one is doing. I mean, when she was DepEd's secretary, I remember that there were several criticisms made to her being secretary of the agency, but she just continued her work, and to my mind, that is the right tact to consider. Kasi kung alam mo naman tama yung ginagawa mo, why would you even bother wasting effort and time, responding to empty criticisms anyway?
All right, we're going to have to leave it at that. Professor Edmond Tayo there.
Okay, so that is it. Now, that's what she did before. Now, when she was a secretary of Department of Education, when she was a secretary, she never cared. She just kept on working. But the criticism is still going on, and it's getting serious. Okay? So if Bibi Sara didn't care about the administration's work, what happened to the administration that they saw that video of Bibi Sara coming out from the airport, and then no say with the administration and the safety and our men in uniform, nobody cares about her. Now, how much more if she will give you a solution of some problem? I guess it doesn't work. Okay? And another thing, since she is the opposition leader as what they claim, the opposition is now, she should have to criticize the administration, the government itself, because the government now has so many what do you call that? There's so many problem that they only bypass. Like for example, the flood control project. This is a big problem, but who cares to claim that? And that's what she said before, that the corruption is massive, but then she tried to help and fix it, but nobody is helping her. She's alone. So that's why she resigned to the Department of Education and concentrate to her BP. Okay? So I think that is all for that interview regarding the Vice President of the Philippines. And I'd like to see you on my next episode video. And thank you so much for my new supporters. And thank you for being with me. Mga live streaming supporters and silent supporters, and thank you to all of you and all the Filipinos all over the world. Thank you for being with me, and you keep on watching my video even if you have a very limited time. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day, everyone. Bye bye.